All right, well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the July 2022 ZoomTRAK meeting. Glad you all could make it. We have a full program today with several people sharing information with us. So let me start off with just a few announcements. First, we wanted to let you all know that in the NRail store, we now have coffee mugs. We have them with just NRail on them, as you can see in John Wallace's view screen, and we have them NRail with a couple of locomotives on them. And I think they're, what are they? I've forgotten the price on them, John, do you know?
$8.
$8, it's a pretty good deal. And does that include shipping?
Yes, no, it doesn't.
$8 plus 500 for shipping or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And they are dishwasher safe because these have been through the dishwasher a few times.
All right, so that's the first one. Second of all, there's a couple of shows coming up. One in Altoona, and Carl, if you or Tim want to speak and let us know what's going on up there.
Hi guys, this is Tim. Thanks for giving us a few seconds here on the meeting. So I'm with the Altoona Association of Model Railroaders in Altoona, Pennsylvania, also known as Railroad Town, basically, home of the PRR for the most part, and all kinds of great stuff. We have a wonderful show planned September 17th and 18th at the Blair County Convention Center. We've got, it's all N scale, no other scales, straight up N scale show. So fairly unique in that regard. We've got about 120 vendor tables sold across about 30 different vendors. We've got 12 operating layouts. We've got Fremo, we've got T-TRAK, and we've got NTRAK. So very exciting. All of that will be for $7 for a day's admission. Children 12 and under are free. And if you would like a 2-day admission pass, that's $10. That gets you in the show on Saturday from 9 until 5 on Saturday and from 10 until 3 on Sunday. So it should be a great show. We're anticipating several hundred people attending. So it's going to be great. Altoona also offers, we've got a deal worked out with the Everett Railroad. If you're interested in a short line excursion ride, they have an ice cream special behind a steam locomotive. We've got the Altoona Railroaders Memorial Museum. We've got wonderful rail fanning spots if you're interested in following Norfolk Southern and the Juniata shops. And then, of course, we have all kinds of shopping, malls, outlets, etc. in the Altoona area. So great venue. We're really excited. This is the show that Mike Phillips, if any of you know of him, had put on for many, many years. And he's working on transferring the show to our organization. Again, the Altoona Association of Model Railroaders. So during that transition, we're recognizing Mike and all the great work he's done over the years to build the show. And hopefully we can take it to a new level as well.
All right. Well,
with that all
Tim.
said, yeah, I appreciate the time. I hope you guys are interested. You can look at our website which is THEAAMR.org for all kinds of information. That's the Altoona, THEAAMR.org. And we look forward to seeing many of you there if you're able to make it. We'd love to have you.
Thank you very much. The other
Well,
show,
thank you.
another show that's coming up is November the 5th and 6th in Oklahoma City. The Oklahoma City Train Show has been around for decades. It's one of the largest shows in our part of the country. It is all scales. But there are going to be, there's going to be a T-TRAK layout and an NTRAK layout. And if any of you are out this way or want to come out this way, we do have room for a few modules in the NTRAK layout and in the T-TRAK layout. If you're interested, contact Bruce Alcock. And contact him at bruce@oknrail.org. That's bruce@oknrail.org.
Did you
And,
say November or did I mishear you?
November 4th and 5th, that weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
It's always December.
It has been. The problem is that the TV networks decided that the Southeast Conference was more important than the Big 12, and therefore the Big 12 championship game was moved to the afternoon, and it's always that Saturday afternoon, first Saturday in December, and it was significantly affecting attendance because for some reason OU was always in it. OSU was in it a lot of times, but not as much as OU, unfortunately. And if you live in Oklahoma, 90% of them are OU fans, even if they've never been to campus in their life. So it did affect that. So they moved it to the 1st of November, hoping that will improve attendance. Okay. The first program we have today is we're going to recap the show in Nashville, which is the N-Scale National Train Show and Convention. And it was a great show, and we've got some guys that are going to talk about it. And Bruce Wallace, you're up first.
Okay, Razor, I'm just going to talk briefly about what does NRail as an organization do at the National N-Scale Convention. An N-Scale enthusiast has asked us to provide the layouts at the convention. And we start that process in the fall once we get the space allocation and detailed floor plans from NSE. Then we place the call for module and layouts and appoint the layout coordinators. And then from there, we go to get the layouts. At the convention, we kind of oversee the layouts. Bruce and I, for example, had keys to the layout rooms for the NTRAK and the T-TRAK. Fremo N was in the lobby, so we didn't need it. We also handle unforeseen events like trying to get special space early so we don't leave modules in 105-degree cars. So we did that. The other thing we found is that setup, which would normally start Thursday morning, we could actually start Wednesday morning. So we were able to get things done a little faster and get it going and the layouts up and running. We also arranged for one of the 2 days worth of clinics. We had clinics on Friday, and we arranged for the module contest. We appointed the judges, and we made the awards at the banquet on Saturday night. And we also had an operating session on Friday night. And NSE, in the form of George Johnson, wants us to make that a formal part of the convention and have more than one operating session going on Friday night. So that's kind of what we do there. When in between all that time, maybe we get to run a train. Anyways, let's move on now to Faye.
You got it, Faye. Tell us about it.
Yep. So it's the 2022 National N-Scale Convention. It was taking place at the Sheridan Music Center, city rather, Nashville, Tennessee. It was a nice hotel. A little bit dated, but it was nice. For the T-TRAK layout, we had 30 tables, and we want to thank Cato for picking up the cost for the table rental. There were 130 modules, and the dimension was approximately 48 by 26, and about approximately 11 scale miles. And we had 35 participants. Basically, the layout is a E shape with a spine. Do you see my cursor?
Yes.
With the spine, and there are 4 branches off the spine, and each of the spines we assign a branch manager who their responsibility was to set up each of their own branches, and that took a lot of the work from me. And here is an overview of the setup. We started setting up the layout Thursday morning, and by mid-afternoon we were up and running. So things went quickly. The participants, we had people from Georgia, a group from Kansas City, North Carolina, from Massachusetts, that's me, Missouri, Ohio, and New Jersey. In addition, we had people from Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Wisconsin, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and as far as Switzerland. Here's a group photo of the participants. There are so many nice modules that I can only show a few. So this is the Smoky Mountain Living module. A double Prince West Virginia module, which was nice. We had Star Wars museum modules, lots of farm sceneries, city block, and the buildings were nicely lit, as well as the emergent vehicles. All these vehicles were flashing, so that was kind of different. We had intermodal terminals. Here's another view of another intermodal module. We had also Jurassic Park modules, so it was quite diverse, including a North Pole, a refinery, a shipping port. And here's a nice little skyline. We had snow scenes, and lastly, the Swiss chocolate module from Switzerland. So that's my presentation. So I will send it back to you, Steve.
All right, Steve
Okay,
Stallnaker, you're up.
Okay, I've been asked to speak to all of you on ZoomTRAK about the convention module judging contest. I was joking before we started tonight that, so I was joking before ZoomTRAK started that my presentation could be boiled down to just look at the last newsletter, pages 25 and 26, but that probably wouldn't meet our needs. So here we go. As John earlier mentioned, the layouts for this convention were organized by NRail, and as a consequence of that, we felt like we also do the module judging contest for those people that entered their modules for consideration. There were 4 judges: Mike Bedford from Dallas, Texas, NMRA Master Model Railroader Gil Brausch from Hickory, North Carolina, Mark Starmans from Utrecht in the Netherlands, and myself from Virginia. Our first task was to figure out how we were going to judge these modules. We had been provided with some previously used criteria at a previous convention, And we decided that they lent themselves too much to subjectivity and didn't give us enough guidance. Gil Brausch brought us a sample judging sheet from the NMRA, which we then adapted to the one that you see on the screen here. The three areas that we looked at for each module was the overall impression, scenicking, and then the structures. And structures became a very large section because it encompassed a lot of things besides just buildings. And you can see there in that graphic that what we used for criteria when we were judging the modules. The categories we had were NTRAK, NTRAK, T-TRAK. There were 28 entries. Unfortunately, there were none from any of our FREMO-N participants, which was a shame because I thought that several of the FREMO-N modules were just as beautiful and well done as anything we saw on the other three categories. So the winners are, overall was the best in show was this module that Faye showed you just a moment ago from the T-TRAK layout. This is Craig Lang's Smoky Mountain Living. We all thought this was great. Notice the bears parading across the road and another bear up here sniffing the garbage. Very Smoky Mountain. So then we go over to the NTRAK layout. First place was Michael Hahn's Coal Mine Loop. Second place was a Shinto Shrine, also by Michael Hahn. And finally, Michael Hahn's Japanese Buddhist Temple for the NTRAK third place. At NTRAK, Robert Utley's typical Appalachian mountain scene. This very nice yard set up here over multiple modules. And then Sand Hill, also by Robert Utley, was NTRAK second place. And here's another view of that. And finally, the third place was another typical Appalachian mountain scene, also by Robert Utley. Moving into T-TRAK, first place there was Smoky Mountain Living that we looked at a minute ago. Here's another view of the bears crossing the, excuse me, the roadway. Second place was Craig Lang's New River Gorge that Faye showed you a moment ago. Third place was Todd Bloss's Star Wars Museum. This is a very large T-TRAK module, so it took up several pictures here.
Wow.
And I want to thank NRail leadership for letting me be a judge in this, asking me to be a judge. It was very much my privilege. I really enjoyed doing it. It also gave me a good reason to get up at the convention and go look at all the layouts. We decided, the four judges decided that for the future, NRail needs to have inputs from the membership, how we're going to grade and how we're going to judge these module entries going forward. We need to standardize the criteria. We need to make standard forms for entry, for judging, for tallying up the scores and so forth. We'd like people to share their ideas and experiences by email to me at editor@nrail.org. And that's all I've got about judging. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul, you're up.
Well, this is one of the people who showed up at the, opening night. We had some people who were running the show up there. I think this guy we recognize, this guy I know we recognize. We almost had to take the microphone away from him at that point, I think. These are all the people who ran the show, ran the convention. At the auction, we had a number of auctioneers up there trying to sell us things we didn't know we needed. There's a head of our store here for NRail. NRail, the booth, we had, Faye was there for part of the time running things, and there he is. We also had one of Lee Monaco Fitzgerald's first T-TRAK modules ever. We just stuck a couple of our engines inside of it. FREMO-N layout, these are some of their modules. One thing I always liked was I call them the white knuckle bridges, where a motor vehicle could drive across it as long as you were very cautious about what you were doing. But they had an awful lot of modules with nice scenery on them. Another white knuckle bridge next to an abandoned bridge. And I understand this was the NTRAK layout. The first thing when you walked in the door was this castle with the a dragon on top nibbling on things. And just some of their scenery and different parts they had. And these I think were all in the NTRAK room. There's a nice yard to be with some buildings marked in little labels where they were going to end up. And a little pagoda on top of the mountaintop. Nice two or three track station, depending on how you count the platforms. I always like this one with the King Kong taking advantage of the layout. This was the room for the T-TRAK layout. And during setup, we were there playing with tables. And this is an overall view once we got everything set up. And what we had the four legs of the layout with different things in them. And that's about all I have about the layout.
I think that'll get it. Thank you very much, Paul.
You're welcome.
And Steve and Faye and John. I think it was a pretty good convention. I heard nothing but positive results about it. Next year it's going to be in Reno, Nevada, and we'll give you more about that later on in future upcoming meetings. So with that, we're going to move right along. We're running a little long. So JM, it's time for the video of the month.
Okay, thank you, Razor. I'm going to get a video started here. Gentlemen, I have noticed over the last few months that when I attempt to send a video out over ZoomTRAK, it does two things. One, it truncates the amount of data that it allows to push through, which means that we have a poor video quality. And until Zoom has the capability to do that, what I'm seeing today, including the fact that it gave me a low resources warning, indicates I might have to change some things up for the way that we present the video of the month in months going forward. I think I've seen a consistent amount of record to give that decision. But I do want to take full advantage of the fact that we have the NRail channel. And the NRail channel actually is our publication platform. It beats the pants off of Zoom, to be honest. Not taking anything away from ZoomTRAK, Razor. This is a fantastic live event. It's just not made for doing the type of video presentation. But that's what our channel is for. So I'm going to indicate right now, which we're saving about 10 minutes of time by not watching the video. Video of the month is going to be awarded to Stephen Corlew from Virginia. Stephen attended the N-Scale convention in Nashville, and he brought with him a Panasonic mini cam, which he installed into a well car and pushed it in front of his locomotive. And it is some of the most amazing video I have ever seen. Frankly, I've seen his camera before, so I know what it's capable of. But here's what I mean. Some of the scenery that you guys brought, curious, how many people were in Nashville? All right, I'm seeing thumbs up going across the board here. I'm changing up my view so I can see the full gallery. Great. Looks like a lot of us made the trip, and that's great to know. Here's why it's important to me. When I tell you that what made the video of the month special, it was the scenery that we saw. What I think is really important for us to realize, and why video is so important, is that what we produce when we're sitting at our workbench, when we're sitting in the basement or whatever spare room it is where you do your modeling, we tend to get right down close to our models, don't we? And we're looking right at it the way a model is designed to be seen. And how infrequently does the general public walking by our layouts have no clue what we saw? It's pretty obvious that most people never see what we see. And the challenge there is if we can get them in front of a screen and show them the way the scene was designed to be seen, now we've changed the game. And so that's what you're going to see when I publish ultimately on the channel. It's going to happen in the next couple of days. You will see the every single module that was in Nashville from the perspective of Stephen Corlew's Panasonic Minicam. And at the beginning of that presentation, when you see it, you're also going to see a couple of step-by-steps, only 4, which shows you how to share your video onto our Google shared drive. I'm going to stop with that because that gets really into the weeds and the details, but I want you to understand how simple it really is for you to take your own videos, share them to a place where I can see your video, work with you through an editor, and then publish it out on our channel. When I got to the very end of his first video, which was of the T-TRAK setup, which with all the lights and the sound and the animation, I mean, it was just phenomenal. From there, he went to the NTRAK in Nashville, NTRAK, and that layout, there were pieces there I had never seen before. It's been a long time since I've seen NTRAK presented the way it was, and they did a great job. And then from there, his video then went to the NTRAK 2.0 Eastern End Lines layout. And there were some phenomenal new modules I've never seen. Frank Fezzi, if you're out there, I'm giving you a thumbs up, man. The operational capabilities that you are designing into your module was seen in some of the photos today, and it'll be seen on the videos. That's something to keep your eyes on, folks, as we go forward. As Steve Stolnicker noted, we did not have a video of the Fremo N. And the only reason for that is that Steve never made his way with his camera onto that layout. But here's who did. Quest Western. If anybody knows who Quest Western is, scream out a name if somebody knows. But whoever that was taking video, that gentleman caught literally every single module from the front, from the perspective that we really appreciate, and it deserves the public actually seeing it. Later this month, for the first time, we won't just have a video of the month. We're going to have a playlist of the month. We have so many great videos that cover the Nashville N-Scale Convention that we're going to present them in the form of a playlist where you'll see all those videos grouped together. So that is all I wanted to provide for you today. I had it all kind of canned in that video. We'll get to see it later, but thanks for the opportunity. And Razor, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jam. The next thing we want to spend just a short time on is at the end of the first of next month is the Gateway NMRA convention and National Train Show in St. Louis. And Glenn and Brad, if you want to spend a minute talking about that as soon as.
I'm known as the guy who rarely shuts up, which is pretty accurate. So I'll keep this to a relatively quick presentation. Glenn, it's good to see a familiar face on here. How are you?
All right.
So I guess the plan is for me just to kind of give an overview for the 2022 convention. Is that correct?
Yep, in 5 minutes or less.
Got it. Well, as y'all know, we started this event back in 2018, and we were close to pulling it off in 2020 when there was some worldwide event. I can't quite recall the details that brought it to a grinding halt. So this has been the longest planned convention in the history of model railroading, I think, of any scale, gauge, or genre. We've been at it for a long time, and it seems like it was never going to get here, but it's close. It's close now, guys. Things are falling into place very nicely. We had some attendance concerns after the first of the year, but they're showing it pretty nicely. We're right at about 700 attendees right now, and they're rolling in daily. Gas prices going down certainly are helping. And a huge help has been the N-Scale community's cooperation and decision to jump in here with Jeremy Jansen in particular. And forgive me if I don't thank some of the guys because I don't know exactly how it all came together. But for this Fremo N operating session that we're promoting and going to feature and host at the Gateway Convention, we're really excited about that. One of the most beloved events at NMRA convention since about 2003 has been this Operations Roadshow that was handled by a bunch of guys with an HO modular railroad. And it was kind of a training session about timetable and train order operation. Well, Jeremy stepped up with the I guess the urging of Gordy Robinson and put together this event for our show. And we're going to have 13 sessions of 6 operating teams each, 2 people on an operating crew. And it's not going to be as much of the mentor side as the Operation Roadshow was, but it's going to be an operating session for about 3 hours time and indoctrination, running trains. And we've had tremendous interest in it already. At this point, the plan is in-person sign up starting Sunday evening. A lot of people want to sign up. A lot of people have asked about sign up multiple sessions. They're only allowed to sign up for 1 session is the plan. But that's going to be an exciting part of the convention. Now we have all the tried and true items. We've got a fantastic clinic selection, 142 different sessions, I believe, based on about 70 clinics. Operation is by far and away the most common subject this year. Every possible clinic you can think of operations, from Arduino controlled signals to how to make switch lists on your computers. Some very unique clinics. We got a couple hands-on clinics, one on Arduinos, one on nano animation, one on decals. The model contests of all genres as usual, photos, passes, locomotives, rolling stock, on and on. We'll have the non-rail activities, a lot of great tours in St. Louis. St. Louis is a very interesting tourist city and a lot of great things to see and do. St. Louis has one of the top probably 5 city parks in the United States, with Forest Park in St. Louis with one of the top 2 or 3 zoos in the entire country, probably top 10 in the world, the St. Louis Zoo is. We have some great prototype tours, including 2 round the city tours on Terminal Railroad Association, where you're going to ride in some NTRAK cars and you get to see very interesting stuff close up. You rarely get to see. Actually, you're going to go right through Madison Yard, cross the Mississippi River twice, cross very interesting junctions, pass through some industrial areas. That's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, let's see. What am I missing? National Train Show starting on Friday, accessible only to convention attendees for, I forget, 4 or 5 hours. We have bus transportation from the downtown hotel, great rail fanning spots in downtown St. Louis. The Gateway Arch is only a few blocks away. Eads Bridge, where the north-south line along the Mississippi River goes through the Eads Bridge, is a fantastic photo location. Just south of Busch Stadium, the St. Louis Cardinals ballpark, is some great photography opportunities of crossing the Mississippi River. So that's what's all underway, guys. It's been a long time coming. We think it's going to be very successful, and we're very happy to have the participation of the N-Scale group. I'm curious, what was the attendance for your convention in Nashville?
It was a little over 600 registered attendees.
I would presume you were very happy with that in the current environment. Am I right?
I was just looking at Dick and he's kind of nodding his head. So
Was he nodding his head yes or no? I didn't notice.
yeah, he's nodding yes. Press your space bar.
Yeah, I got it now. Yeah, we're happy with this 640 people that showed up on the whole thing, and I've got nothing but good emails all the way around. So I'm happy.
Well, excellent, excellent. We're pleased with our convention hotel room rate, which we were able to get locked in back during the depths of the pandemic. They agreed to hold that room rate for us at the rate it was going to be in 2020. It's $149. Beautiful hotel right in downtown St. Louis with some interesting activities nearby. The Gateway Arch has a new museum that just opened. Well, let's see, just before or just after the pandemic. I can't remember. Everything kind of goes pre and post pandemic now. Have you noticed that? It's in my life, it's kind of like post Union Pacific buying up all the other railroads. I'm a UP modeler. So my friends say, when did that happen? Well, that was right after the Western Pacific merger. When did that happen? Well, that was right after they absorbed the Katy. But regardless, should be an awful lot of fun, and looking forward to it. Train show, I'm told, is completely sold out. Smaller venue this year than before. Economic issues there. St. Louis was supposed to have their downtown convention center torn up and under construction. Well, that still hasn't happened. They've just started some minor work on it, so it probably could have been there, but it isn't. So there we are. That's my presentation. Any questions I can answer for anybody?
Thank you, Brad. We appreciate it. One comment I had noticed up in the chat. We don't want to forget Train Fest in Milwaukee coming up in November. And if whoever sent that note, Walt, next month, we'll put you on. If you want to talk about it for a couple of minutes, we'll put you on next month. Is that all right? All right. Glenn, I didn't mean to forget you. You had some stuff you wanted to talk about too with get the rest of the St. Louis thing. Tell us what you wanted to say.
Okay, this is Gateway Center, and to cut things short here, Jeremy Jansen with Gateway NTRAK stepped up for NTRAK, and Fremo and Mississippi Valley N-Scalers stepped up with T-TRAK. It's at the Gateway Convention Center in Collinsville, Illinois, which is across the Mississippi River at milepost 11 on Interstate 55/70. This is the floor plan. You pull in, if you see my cursor on the street here, and you park in back here. And there should be roll-up doors to allow entry. Setup day is Thursday from 9 to 6. Otherwise, from Friday on, you have to come in this way and pay the fare. Now, the vendors are here in the main hall and in the hallway, and Jeremy and his gang are right here at the end of the hall. There are some layouts in back, but we are in a secret hallway down here in a meeting room, way here. We've always been here, but now we're in here. It's a 50 by 33 room, and you might recall Ali Shariari. He gave a video tour of the T-TRAK modules hung on the wall all around his room. He's our T-TRAK master, and he came up with this plan. We are honored to have the best of show corner here from Craig Lang. And Also, Todd Blows's Star Wars Museum here, and then Bob Felker's incredible to scale 3D printed gateway arch is here. We have most of our brand new yard here, and we've got a front to back. You'll see just a lot of interesting modules and people having a lot of fun. So that's the deal.
All right. All right. Thanks, Glenn. Terry Moore, are you ready to rock and roll with your Talkin T-TRAK?
Certainly am so, sir.
All right, turn your volume up a little bit, Terry, and you're on your way.
Okie dokie. Talkin T-TRAK for July 2022. Branch line junctions provide unique opportunities. How about corner branch line junctions? This is what I'm talking about this time. When Bruce Alcock first advised me of the T-TRAK Oklahoma corner junction module designed to divert T-TRAK trains to the helix connecting a T-TRAK layout to an NTRAK layout, I saw how closely it resembles an NTRAK junction. Although currently this is the only one, I thought there could be possibilities if it had a mirror image partner. Nashville 22 T-TRAK display layout, Bruce used a large corner module companion for the end of the branch loop that he was on. Due to the large size of the junction, because of the number 6 turnouts, a small 186 millimeter module is needed on the corner to match the junction's depth. Modifying the original design of the junction by adding a 62 millimeter piece of straight track to the straight will create a module the length of a quad straight module. The 62 millimeter could be added to the build design or added as a separate spacer. A large corner module uses the 481 millimeter curves exclusively, plus a 33 millimeter straight on the end of the outer 90-degree curve, creating a corner module larger than the usual 447-480 large corner module. Layout options are almost endless, incorporating any corners, junctions, or straight modules, utilizing adapter filler trackage as required. You would really need to watch your trains. DCC with standard blue-white, white-blue wiring makes wiring the layout far more simpler than it looks. In the case of this diagram, the inner loops of 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 10 could have their yellow bus wiring reversed, creating a pseudo blue-white situation, allowing for the installation of modules with crossovers, allowing trains to cross from the red to yellow tracks. The examples below are wider than 2 tables. If you should decide to build these, you'll need a really big bunch of Cato 481 millimeter radius curve track. You'll need 16 of them for the junction and 12 for the corner. Cato 20-160 comes with a package of 4 curves. You'll need 2 number 6 right-hand turnouts, 4 248 millimeter straights, and 2 33 millimeter straights, and 2 for the corner. 1 each of 186 millimeter, 124 millimeter, and an expansion track pieces. The junction base is 29.5 inches by 46.25. It's big. The corner is 22.25 square. The Oklahoma junction uses number 6 turnouts, resulting in its relatively large size. A similar version can be built using number 4 turnouts. They're not very popular, but it is possible. And the Y turnout, both of which have the same 481 millimeter radius as the curved track used almost exclusively in both designs. Using number 4 turnouts also makes the other popular junction designs much easier to create. So, using number 4 turnouts with a curve radius the same 481 as the 481 millimeter 15-degree curved track makes these branch line junctions very easy to construct, creating a perfectly matched set of corner and junction modules that don't require adapter or filler track pieces. Actually, if you wanted, you could go even bigger. 718 millimeter and number 6 turnouts. There's the original Oklahoma junction, and there's the 481 millimeter number 4 turnouts version. Before I go, I thought I'd see what an Oklahoma junction would look like created with Caddo's largest curve, the 718, that matches the number 6 turnout. The large module brings new meaning to large T-TRAK. So it probably isn't very suitable as a module, but I expect it to be much larger than the original Oklahoma junction than it appears to be. If I had used a right-hand turnout below the double track corner as per the original design, it would have been 186 millimeter deeper, adding substantially to the module's size. Bruce's Oklahoma junction brings more options and interest to T-TRAK model railroading. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Terry. All right, we're going to finish up. I'm going to talk to you next. We're going to talk about some unique NTRAK modules as soon as the screen clears. Okay, I'm going to talk today about unique NTRAK modules. We've seen Terry talk about a lot of different T-TRAK modules, and we'll do the same with NTRAK. One of the things that bothers me about NTRAK is everything seems to be rectilinear, and it doesn't have to be. We don't have to be in squares or rectangles. There are other things we can do. What I want to show you today is ways to do it. And it may have applications in other forms either. Maybe a T-TRAK, maybe something else. I don't think we can get quite as free as the Fremo guys, but we can do something close. The standard modules are the POFS, the plain old 4-footers, or 2-footers, or 6-foot and 8-foot straight modules. Corners, our standards are 3 and 4 foot 90-degree standard corners, and we have the 3 and 4 foot 90-degree inside corners. But who says we have to do that? Let's look at some non-standard modules that aren't in the NTRAK module how-to book. We're going to look at some corners, some junctions, some balloons, and some gateways. Now, first of all, let's look at the regular corner modules. I've come up with what we call the skinny corner. The problem with a regular corner is they're 34 inches deep, and they can't fit through a door unless you tilt them on their back side because they're too wide. But you don't have to be that wide. The skinny corner, instead of being 34 inches deep, is only 25.5 inches deep, just 1.5 inches deeper than a standard module. And it can fit through a door without tilting it on its back. Plus, they weigh a lot less. Now, here's a picture. You can see in the whatever color that is, that's the skinny corner, and the outline, the dash line, is a standard corner, which is 2 feet on the left side, the bottom, the right side, and the top, and it's 34 inches on the diagonals. That's a standard corner. But you cut off this, and you cut it off at the 1 foot mark instead of 2 foot. You're only going back 1 foot there and over here to the left, as you can see from my pointer. And that makes this dimension across here from front to back 25.5 inches deep. Again, only 1.5 inches deeper than normal. But you can still put corners into this thing. And you notice we're in about 1.5 inches to 2 inches from the edge of the module on your track. And we do meet the standard curve radii: red 25.5 inch, yellow 24, blue 22.5, and the blue standard is only 18, so we're way above that. It gets you a lot easier to carry, a lot lighter weight, and you still have the same amount of room in this back section for scenery as you did on the bigger modules, on any standard module. So that's one
Razor?
thing to consider. You can also do that on a 3-foot corner. It's just this straight part here between the 2 dashed lines where you see my pointer moving. That's a little narrow, but you can do the skinny corner on a 3-foot as well. Here's what a standard corner looks like, where you've got 2 foot across there, 2 foot across the front. This module we had to rebuild, it was wearing out, so we did the skinny corner, and it looks like this. You can still do almost the same thing. Instead of 10 tanks, we had 9 tanks, but you get the same effect, and you can see we're close to the edge here, but not too far. And in our club, we put a safety piece of plexiglass in the front anyway to protect not only the trains from falling to the floor, but little kids from getting their fingers in a little too close. The other thing to think about is, who says a corner has to be 90 degrees? Those of you that were at Nashville saw an example of a 45-degree turn in the Eastern Inlines layout this last week. But let's look at ways to do it. You can take that 90-degree corner and cut it into 3 pieces and make 3 30s, or you can cut it in half and make 2 45s. Well, how do you do that? Well, here's what they look like. Let's look at the 30s first. This is a 30-degree module. It's 12 inches across the back and 24 inches across the front. You can get a nice little seam on them. You're not going to have a big seam, but you can get a nice one. The beauty of it is that you can clamp the 3 together and you have a standard 90-degree corner, or you can connect one 30-degree corner and a regular 90-degree corner, and that gives you a 120-degree curve. Now, those of you that remember trigonometry know that an equilateral triangle is 3 120-degree corners, gives you a triangle. So you can clamp those together, and between those 3, the 90 and the 30, which makes 120, between those 3, you can stick any number of straight modules as long as the length between them is the same, and you can get a triangular shaped layout, which is different. We did this at a show, at a great train show here a few years ago, and people couldn't believe they could do that. And yeah, you can. You can see here where the pointer is in the center. There's the 90 and there's the 30. Up here is a standard junction, which is a 90 and a 30. And the same thing down here at the bottom, 90 and a 30. And it gives you something different, which is a lot of fun to work with. Again, all you got to do is make sure that this length across each side is the same. But then you can expand that. You can take that other side here, anything, you're back on grid, so you can put anything you want. We do an arrowhead. That's kind of a big thing in Oklahoma, Indian arrowheads and stuff like that. And this is actually the layout we presented at the Great Train Show a few years ago. And again, it was we used a pretty big triangle. You don't have to have it this long. You can make it smaller or whatever you want to do. But we had the space at the Great Train Show, we took it. You can also do some other things. You can take, besides that, now you can put some straights here and then inside corner, and you've got a little thumbprint sticking out. Again, something that varies just from the rectangle. Now, construction of that's pretty simple. Each trapezoid has a 24-inch side. The end of the skyboard is 12.5 inches long, and the front is 25 inches long. You take 1/2 sheet of plywood, 4 foot by 4 foot, and you can make all 3 of these. The red lines are your cut lines. And there's all your angles and all that stuff. And I will, if I don't have this published on the tips and techniques on our website, it will be published there very shortly. So you can have this if you're interested in making it. But it's pretty straightforward. You do this, and you've got 3 modules on a 1/2 sheet from 1/2 sheet of plywood. Works out pretty well. Let's look at the 445 degree. You take the same thing and you do 2 45s. Again, you clamp them together and you've got a regular 90 that you can use anytime you want to. But when you do the 45s, it's not quite as simple to insert them in a loop. You don't have the geometry advantage that you have in an equilateral triangle, but you can make a rectangle with the 445s as long as the opposite sides are the same. Let's look at that. You can see the 45, the light gray one there and over here and here and here. And you notice if the space on this side, that plan of a 12-foot, a regular corner and a 4-foot. You got the same thing, a 12, a regular corner, a 4-foot, and the same distance on these two sides. It fits. It meets the grid. They all work. And again, you've got something different than a standard rectangle. You can take one of these out and stick something else in and make it a little odd, like you did, like I showed in that triangle. Now, it's not as simple to insert in a loop like cropping a corner, because to make it fit, this section along here in the top left has to be 24 feet long. When you do that, you're within 5/16 of an inch of being in grid. And folks, in NTRAK, that's close enough. That's lanyard. So it works. You can cut the corner. What they did at the National Train Show is they just had one of these and they had a balloon down the end so you can make it any length you want. And that's the other thing about these is this gives us in NTRAK the same flexibility that the Fremo guys have with the 30 and 90 degree corners. We can go off at any weird angle on a peninsula and do pretty much anything we want to do, as long as we have a balloon at the end. And we'll talk about the balloons in a minute. The same thing on this 45 degree. It's a half sheet of plywood. It makes two of them. You notice at the top here, you can't go straight across or the line will be into the track. So you have to have a pentagon instead of a four-sided module. But it works and works well. You have, again, the corners are 30, you can make radius as long as 34 and 32 and a half and 31 inch if you want to make them that large. And you've got 4 inches on each side for your joiner tracks and a little straight section. So it's easy to make, easy to fit. This side's 18 3/8 on the skyboard side, and the long one depends on what angle you take these pieces at. So another option. Now let's talk about junction modules. I in my club have developed what we call a universal flexi junction, and I'll explain what that means. But they are 90 degree corners, either 3 foot or 4 foot, with a left or right extension. We are also going to talk about flexi junctions that have a 45 degree exit on them instead of a left or right. And we'll talk about who says a junction module has to be on a corner. It can be on a straight. So let's look at these. The 90 degree corner with a left and right exit. The universal flexi junction, those are two modules that can be used as a regular 4-foot corner and a regular plain old 4-footer, 2x4 modules. You stick them together and you have a junction, and it can be left hand or right hand, depending on whatever you need, but it's the same two modules. So here's what you have. The bottom right here is the corner junction, which is a regular 4-foot corner. Up at the top, you have a regular 2x4 module that has this curve here that links to the junction. It has a curve on the other end too. So you can take this, follow the arrows and stick it down on this side. And instead of being a left-hand junction, it can be a right-hand junction. So you got two modules, they're flexible and they're universal. You can use them as junctions or pieces. And that information is available online. And it's on, it's on the Neons, Tulsa-Neons.com website, and I think I have it on the NRail website. If not, it will be there shortly. You can do the same thing with the 3-foot corners, by the way. Here's what that looks like. Here's the 4-foot corner, and here is the bottom left is that plain old 4-footer that makes the junction function. You can see it comes out here on the bottom left if you wanted to put this over here on this side. You can make a flexi junction with a 45 degree exit. Now, I haven't built this, I've just designed it. And my design is designed where it can be left or right hand. When you come off this 45, this is a little wider than 2 feet where the arrow is pointing. So you can hook a regular module on this side, or you can turn around and hook it on the other side, depending on what you want to do at the other end. And you can, and again, this 90 degree corner can be used anytime without this adapter, and it's a regular corner you can use anywhere. Now, they don't have to be a corner either. You can do a junction with a 6 foot straight. Here's a regular 6 foot straight module. You bring a couple of turnouts off of that. Now, again, I've done this as universal. This is a standard 2x4 frame. You can do just one side of this and have this where it is on the left, where you see this where on the left side, or you can have it just on the right, or you can have it as your choice. And when you do that, you can do something like this. You might have a hole on the left side here. That could be a double length peninsula. It could be a whole loop, whatever you want. And depending on which side of this straight junction you hook to, you'll either have your junction over here as a left or a right, depending on what you need. You can do it either way. It gives you a lot more flexibility to do some different things. Balloon modules. There are a gazillion different types of balloon modules. I'm going to talk just about 2 of them. If you were at the convention in Nashville, you would have seen several of them on the Eastern Inline's layout. And if you saw theirs, they come in a variety of sizes, shapes, and colors. You don't know whether you can make them with including the green line or the mountain line, or you can do just the red, yellow, blue. At a later time, I will talk about these and the wiring that's involved, because it does present a little bit of problem with the wiring on, just like we have on a spine now, where the blue line has the wiring inverted. But we'll talk about that later. We developed a 2.5 by 4 foot mini balloon module, and we designed that where we could go to very small shows, local shows, where we wanted to take a couple of 3 modules and put a loop on each end so we could go around. You can put this balloon module, do this as a left and a right. You can fit them in the back of an SUV. They're only 4 foot deep and they're 2.5 feet tall. So you set them on edge and they fit in there, and you don't have a skyboard on them because it's a balloon. And you can put a layout together. The downside of this is this radius on this curve is only 13.5 inches. So it restricts us to using 4-axle engines and a maximum of 50-foot cars. The larger stuff, 6-axle engines won't run on it. And the large cars like passenger cars and stuff look kind of honky, hinky on that, because they really hang over at both ends. But here's what you can do. If you want to have a little layout, you put the 2 balloons and a couple of 4 foot straights and you're ready to go. Here's what one of those looks like. This is a 2x4 balloon with this 6-inch kick out on this side. Now let's talk about a full-size balloon. Most balloons are 2 foot, double 2 foot. They're 4 foot wide and whatever length you need. This is a 2x6 connected to a 2x5, and this corner's chopped off that 5. So what it gives you is a balloon that has about a 22.5-inch radius outer loop and a 20-inch inner loop. It meets blue line specs, but since you're doing it, usually you're doing this on a peninsula, your red line turns into the blue line anyway, and so you're going to be subject to blue line specs wherever you are. So, and it hasn't been a problem. You can run any 6-axle engines on the 20-inch radius, and it'll run fine. It's still larger than the blue line minimum of 18. Now, if you decide, if you have the mountain line, it's real easy to take this outer line and transition it, or there's enough room that you can take the inner line, which is and up and over top of this, and go to the mountain line and have the red and blue come back together. And you can modify how you come off these to the front. There's a million ways to do it. This is just the way we did it. We have one of these. I just don't have a picture of it, so I've got a slide for if I ever get the picture. Now, the idea again is to get something unique and different when you do a show layout. So here's a potential thing we can do with our club's layout. We have our triangle, we have our peninsula, we have a different type of junction module, which actually is designed on the way it really is on the west side of downtown Tulsa going into Sand Springs. We have the mini balloon down here for this short peninsula this way, and the main peninsula comes out here. What we do with this in our club is this peninsula becomes our operating area, where the junction module is designed that the blue line, I'm sorry, the loop module is designed, balloon module is designed where the main loop, main track goes red around the yellow and comes back on the yellow and leaves the blue line open for switching operations, since on most modules, all the buildings and stuff and the turnouts are all off the blue line. And then when you get back over here in the bottom left-hand corner, where you see this red module, we cross the yellow line back to the blue, and then it goes back into the normal operation. So again, the idea is do something different. Now, other new modules, Gateway, you've seen a lot of those. We've seen it with hydraulics, but essentially there are two basic times. There's the rigid and the floppy, whether it's a lift gate or a swing gate, whether there's a step up to go over and down, whether it's one piece or two piece. This is the one we have. This is a rigid with a step, and we have a skyboard behind it, so it looks like a regular module. And when you lift the gate, the skyboard turns with it. The problem with that is, this was great when I was 50, but at 75, this is a steep step for me, and it doesn't work as well as it used to, or it probably works just as well. I don't work as well as I used to. It's probably a better way to say it. The key again is you don't have to be rectilinear. Consider inside corners, 30, 45 degree corners, side junctions, T-corners, junctions, balloons, peninsulas. Go crazy, do something different, do something unique, keep the fantasy going, and try to do something a little different. One of the things we're going to be doing, we're going to take our 30 degree corners and do this large oval. I've done the measurements, and it snaps again close enough to grid that it works. We can do that, and you just saw this triangle and balloon just to do something unique and different. Even if you don't have these odd shapes, with your regular modules, there's nothing to say you can't do something other than rectilinear. We did this layout one time. We took our inside corners and made the zigzag, which is a sort of a right triangle. But again, it was something different, unique. And even if we're doing the straight stuff, I don't know whether you can see this whole thing over here, but you zigzag over with a couple of inside corners and you have a little zigzag, something different, something unique. And that's my what I'm promoting today. Let's see, questions.
Razor, you had one question that came in and asked about the green line. What do you do with the mountain division on a junction?
On a junction, there you have to go up and over. And there are several of them you can see. There were several of them at Louisville back in 2008. On the regular portion of it, it makes the tight radius curve just like on a normal 4-foot corner. But to come out across, you have to put a Y on the side that goes. And I imagine you could do the same thing as a universal. You could put a Y on each side of that corner module and take it over as an overpass and bring it around. So it's just an overpass with a curve in it, and you'd have two of them if you want to make it universal. And I don't know what the radius is. You just have to do the math because my club doesn't use it. John, do you know what that is on a corner?
Not offhand, I don't.
Okay.
But I did have a question for you. What's the radius for the green line on a skinny corner?
It would be the same as it. Well, let's see. You'd have to come out a little farther.
Yeah.
It should be about. I don't know. We'd have to look at that. But
Yeah.
I'll find that answer out and I'll give it to you.
Okay.
I have to get my math thing working, and my brain isn't in that gear right now. So this question, our balloon modules, we refer to the red, we put the red into the blue and
Purple.
see, refer to the red into blue line as the purple line. Okay, well, that works. It's one of the thing about it is however you design your track work in the balloon, is going to affect how you wire it with polarity reversals on the lines that loop around. And that's a whole nother issue that I don't want to get into today, but it is an issue that we will address at an upcoming presentation. The other question, Bob says the 30-degree would work with the hex hub star. That thing's still around. That thing's 20 years old, isn't it? The hex hub star.
2006.
2000. Okay, well, it's only 17. It's still young.
You can
All
use
right, Paul, what else?
you can use three pieces of the hex hub and make a triangle layout out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a whole variety of things you can do. And again, that's the idea, guys, is let's adapt. Let's take some of these ideas. The Fremo guys are really getting attention, and they deserve it because they're doing different things and going out at all odd angles. And we can do peninsulas in NTRAK as well, and we can go out and come back. We have a balloon, and they have balloons on the Fremos as well. Let's build some. Let's do something unique and different. And now that these T-TRAKs are 46 inches long, they're the same size as an NTRAK module. So we're back in the game, guys. Our NTRAKers. What is it, Joel? What did you say? This corner of I guess 4-foot corner can have as much as a 20-inch radius. I don't know what he's got there, but I guess that's on the green line. I guess that's what Joel's saying. So are there any questions about any of the presentations we've made today?
Razor, there were several questions raised as I was attempting to present the video, and several of them were very, very poignant. They mentioned that if you have the correct amount of bandwidth, if you've got good internet connection to begin with, there's been a lot of success with folks in a professional setting being able to display video without any problem. And I confess that could be part of my situation. I am hardwired to an internet today, but it was showing low data. So for a lot of folks, if you're, you know what, today is different for me because I'm actually recording the session. I've never had to do that before at the same time I was presenting. So I have a hunch that that part of factored in. But others mentioned that there's other platforms like WebEx, but there's also people saying, you know what, Zoom is perfectly fine. It's some people think of it as a fad. I think we're doing great. I'll be honest, when you look back through every one of our ZoomTRAKs, going back to September 2 years ago, this has been an eye-opening game changer for the NRail organization. So thank you guys for those comments. We're always paying attention to ways we can improve our technology, and that begins by you letting us know what we can do to improve. You can always send an email to zoomtrak@nrail.org. Thank you, Terry Colt. I'm seeing it. Yes, Zoom has been great for these meetings. I appreciate you weighing in, Terry. Maybe we need to add you as an expert on this topic. I'd love to catch up with you. Back to you.
Let's talk a minute about what's coming up. The next meeting is on August the 20th. Now that is the weekend after the NMRA convention ends. The convention is the 7th through the 13th. Which is a Saturday. It ends on Saturday the 13th. So our Zoom meeting is on Saturday the 20th of August. It looks like we're going to have a nice program for you again there. It's not all finalized yet, but put it on your schedule and tune in, and we'll see you there. Any final comments before we shut this thing down today? We've run about 20, we've really run long today, and I apologize for that, but we have a lot to cover. I want to thank all of you for attending. Spread the word. We want to try and get our attendance back up again. In hot summer months, it's good to be inside on your air conditioning, watching your screen. So have a good month, and we'll see you all in August or at the St. Louis NMRA convention. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Bonds.
JM, is the video looking at the NRail YouTube page. Is the video of the month of June of 22?
The video of the month right now is June 2022. That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Yep. July will be posted very soon.
All right. Adios, amigos.
All right. Take care.
Thank you, Razor.
Thank you very much. Thanks for everything y'all do.
Thank you.
Yep, appreciate the invite, you guys. If we, maybe later in this year, we'll give you another update. Thank you.